Today I'm going to be replacing the speakers in a 2017 Nissan Armada. First step is to pop this open here, pull that out, and you have it's like a 10 millimeter to take out there. Next we have to pry off the handle to get to another bolt. The problem is I can't find my plastic pry tool, so I have to use a flathead screwdriver to try to get this off without damaging the vinyl here. So I'm gonna attempt that. I needed both my hands, but you can see here I was able to get this started here. There's two pieces, part of the handle there, so I'm going to continue to remove that. Once I got the front pried off, I was then able to use my hands and just pull it off. So once you get that off, you have a nut there, bolt here. Those are either a Phillips or a 10 millimeter. Okay, got those off. So next we need to take this rubber door stop off. Try to get it off without damaging it. Once I was able to kind of pry it out a little bit, then I just took my fingers and pulled it off. So that's mainly what's holding the door on. So next steps is mainly kind of going around the sides and popping off all the clips. And then once that's done, you can take the door off. You can see here I already got it started. So I took a fairly long screwdriver, put it in here first, and was able to push it and start popping off. You can see there's some up here on top, and you got all these down on the bottom. So I'm still going around, but you can get the idea. Okay, the door panel. So you have all these clips, and some of them are still stuck in the door, so I'm going to pry those out and put them back on in those sections. But you have a few different places to connect all the different plugs. So this one went to the bottom, which was down here. That's with this guy here. Then you had these two, which plugged up underneath this part of the door panel, here and here. And that was this one. Then you had this one, this tiny little guy, that plugged into here, and then when it's mounted right here. So I slid that off, and then you have to use, there's little clips on each single one of them that you have to pry down with your finger. I didn't have to use pliers. I was able to pull them off with my finger once I pressed those little clips in. As far as the door latch, so you have these little pins that go in here and here. So you stick it in. So whenever they were in, they were like this, and the pin was here. So you pull out here so you can slide it out, and then it just pops off. And that's, once you get all those off, then the door's obviously off. Door panel's off. It was kind of a pain to juggle with the camera, so because I was holding the door panel up while I used my other hand to remove all the cabling and everything. But once you get the panel off, you'll be able to notice all the different wires. I was trying to figure out if there was a way to position it, or I could just move it a little and then take the speaker off. But the problem is it was putting a lot of pressure on some of these, and I didn't want to damage anything, so I went ahead and took it all off. But that's the gist of it. So now it's time to get the speaker off and replace them. So if I were to take off this whole speaker housing, these are still 10mm screws that are in here, or Phillips. I'm replacing the 6x9s with some 6.5s that I ordered from Crutchfield. Cool thing about Crutchfield is they also had some conversions, so I could do a 6x9 to 16.5 conversion for the Armada, and they have these for a bunch of different other things. I also have for the back, once I get to that, I'll go back to those. I have conversions for that as well. But I'm going to go ahead, and looks like for whatever reason there's only a screw here and a screw here, not screws here. We did have this is a new door. There was damage done to the previous door, so it's possible that whenever they were fitting it in, whenever there was repairs done, that they didn't put in screws, but we'll see on the other side that wasn't damaged when I get to that part. Okay, I'm going to remove a couple screws here. Let's see if I can position this camera. Okay, that's all we got there. And then the clip. That one's fun. Need more light over here. Alright, so yeah, there's a pin to push in here and remove that. Alright. So one thing I'm noticing, if you do happen to buy the converter off of Crutchfield, there is a little tab pin here. So whenever the other speaker was on, it was kind of like, I guess once you unscrew it, it would keep it from falling. But there is no hole for the converter. So what I'm going to end up doing is either drilling a hole here to keep that, or I'll just use some snips and snip that off. Also, I'm not sure if this is by design, but the holes do not match up for the speaker to the bracket or the converter. So I'm either gonna have to pre-drill holes or just screw directly into the plastic with some self-tapping screws. Just to keep in mind, that is what I'm running into with this so far. Okay, so I was able to get a hole drilled in to line up that little tab sticking out. So now I'm going to screw this bracket down. Alright, I'm going to use the 2 screws that were already here in the positions they were before. And then I'll use, there's 2 screws that came along with, or I'm sorry, there was like 8 screws that came along with the assembly here. And they're a little smaller than the screws that came with, but they are keeping it a little snug. They're not loose or anything to where I would fear that they would rattle off. Alright, so now we have wiring still in there, and our bracket is there, or whatever, conversion bracket. With the kit that I bought, it comes with a wiring harness for this, so I don't have to cut and rewire. So that's there. So then we just go to the speaker and screw the speaker in. So what I believe I'm going to do here is I'm gonna go and plug this in so I don't forget. Okay, so I was able to finally get these on. Just be careful not to snap this small one. As I was pushing it on, it kind of bent it. I'm hoping that I don't have any issues with this speaker. I'm learning as I'm going here. Alright, now I'm gonna plug this back in and try to get some holes created, or at least start some holes for some screws. Try to get it somewhat centered. I guess I could do it like that. No, it's trying to find a place where I could screw in that's not going to be near anything there. That looks good. Let's start with one. See if I can just get a little starter hole. Do I like that spot? Yeah, seems fine. Alright, let's get a screw started there. And then I'm hoping this plastic is pretty yeah. Alright. So with that one kind of in place, now I can kind of start one down here. I just want to make sure my sides and also I like that right there. Okay, I feel good about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. And good. Now I can put the other ones in and put the door panel back on. I'm not saying this is the right way to do this by any means, but this is how I saw fit, considering the fact that there was not holes. It did come with clips where you can clip in and then have a screw that would tighten in, but there was no holes to line up to match the speaker. So this worked. I'm I'm gonna test the speaker out. I tested the speaker out. It does not sound as bassy as the factory, but it doesn't sound bad. The whole point in replacing the speakers was one of my passenger side door speaker is blown, so it rattles a lot when there's bass. So that being said, another thing is I guess there's a low pass filter or some sort of filter on this speaker here, because it does not seem that there's any highs coming out, even though this one has a tweeter, because you do have the front speakers up here where I guess all your highs are coming out of. So as far as where that filter is, I have no idea. I'd have to pull up a diagram and see if I can figure out where it is to take it out in order to get more highs out of the speaker here, but I'm not too worried about it because there's plenty coming from the front dash. Anyway, that is pretty much the same as you would do for all the rest of the doors. Just remember to watch out for your small wires when you're pulling the door off. Make sure you don't break anything, and it's pretty easy. Just a few bolts and screws, and then pop it off.